Hi, I'm Richard. I play NR5E, a sentient robotic bodyguard seeking to recover his erased memory.
Hi, my name is Cooper Bishop, and I play the odd contemplative named Pons.
Hi, I'm Jeff. I play Scrift Dovetail, the Soki mechanic and inventor down on his luck.
And I'm Adam, writer and galactic manager of the Emergency Power Podcast. Welcome back to the Emergency Power Podcast. You've made it through another week, so sit on down and charge up with us.
Oh my god. Volume 1 is over.
This episode is going to be a little different, yes, because that was basically a finale kind of deal we had last time. And we're going to do a little bit of review, so if people want to, say, jump in after episode 12, maybe they can skip listening to that first episode where our mics weren't very good, and we're like, I attacked the goblin.
Damage!
The first few, maybe even episodes, they slowly got better with the audio.
I'm happy with episode 7 and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
Right about, yeah. Like, the story part's very important, building up to that, but, yeah, we hadn't quite found our groove yet, but we're starting to get there, starting to hit that.
I don't know what y'all
platform.
are talking about. I'm fabulous in every episode.
I would agree. Your voice lines have still been spot on.
Yeah, no, from the
Modest
first
as
episode
well.
to the last, oh man, yes, you are as close to the professional voice actor as we have, and I'd say you're pretty close. Better than me, and I'm the one doing all the weird voices.
Yeah.
My bravado is entirely in jest. I definitely see that we all improved over time, myself included. And it wanes and waxes. Energy levels are weird like that.
Sure.
But we kind of have
life
to
intervenes too, so like some days will be more on point than others because just life's rough, man.
Man, our typical recording day, I have like a routine I go through of like, all right, I need to make sure that I'm well slept. I need to make sure I've gotten hydrated, but also caffeinated. But sometimes alcohol, it depends. Like usually it's caffeine. Every once in a while it's just, I'm just going to grab a bourbon and we're going to go with this.
You just gotta make it through the day sometimes.
Yeah. By the way, Slancheva, cheers to our game master and organizer of all this fun stuff.
Cheers, Adam. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
very
for
much,
running this
guys.
so far. It's been a lot of fun.
It's been so much fun.
Really enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think
it's a heck of a thing to try to write all this up. I write like 4 pages for every hour and a half that we do. So it's a lot, but it's also gotten me better at story structure and character building, all that kind of stuff. So it's been a wonderful experience all around.
Yeah,
And it
and-
hasn't cost me any sleepless nights at all. So don't worry.
Telling a story like for a podcast, there are some differences from your normal homebrew game because
Oh,
we're
boy,
trying
are
to
they.
make it interesting for the listeners, right? So there are some differences, but we try to keep it as real to table as we can.
And overall,
Absolutely.
though, I think those differences and those changes that you make to make this more appealing to listeners, even if the editing component wasn't there, I think carrying those over to your normal games actually makes them stronger. I mean,
Absolutely.
I have seen a few things even that, like, not to go negative on it, but I've seen a few things that you do in our other games that I'm like, you would never do this for the podcast. This is terrible. But you do them less often, and that's great.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think it's
Yeah.
been the most consistent I've enjoyed sessions of any role-playing game. Like there hasn't been a single episode where I was left like, well, that was kind of boring. It was like every episode, it's been super fun. It's left me excited, looking forward to the next one. So definitely encouraged to see what happens in part 2.
I'm glad. So what that tells me is you guys like me putting you in peril, beating you up, making sure the situations are as bad as possible.
What that tells you is that Pawns specifically has not been put in enough peril.
Oh, I
I
see.
could-
Pawns in more peril.
I could do
Not
with a
script,
little
script.
less running ragged all the damn time. Like our characters have been on the run since this freaking spaceship collapsed.
Yeah.
And it has not stopped. It feels like we've not gotten to catch a breath. We have multiples of us have been on the knife's edge of death like several times.
Yep.
You're not wrong.
And actually, that adds a lot of excitement to it. Of like, wow, that was a really close call. I mean, I don't want to jump ahead, but I know we had some really good dramatic moments attached to that.
Yeah, we'll get to some of those for sure.
Yeah, so the danger level, the danger component is nice, but it does feel like these guys have just not gotten to catch a break since the moment the ship crashed.
I think we finally are at a point though where we can do that, and we'll get into that. But first, I wanted to ask, what did everyone get for level 3?
Oh,
Yeah,
shiny!
you
yes,
guys
from last
at
episode.
the end of 12, you guys finally leveled up. It seemed like you were in level 2 for like a year, but why is that? Jeez. But yeah, no, you guys have leveled up, and I am super excited to find out what kind of decisions you've made. What's affected you in these decisions through what's happened since you guys crash landed, all that kind of good stuff. So
Yeah.
what do you guys got for me?
All right. I know, Jeff, you've been really wanting stuff for Scriff. Has he gotten anything you've been looking forward to yet?
Sadly, Scriff's level 3, being a mechanic, is not the best. I got weapon specialization like everyone else, so I'm gonna be doing some more damage. Finally, not going to be doing negative damage sometimes when I punch or bite. It's like, unless I have negative modifiers on me now, it will always be a positive number. But
I'm sure I can cook up something.
It's still like I'm waiting for level 5. That's where my build is gonna come into its like own. But I got mechanics at level 3 get overload as an ability. So as a standard action, you basically touch an electronic device and it causes a short in it that causes it to not function for 1 round. And so you can keep a door from being opened for 1 round or something like that.
Sweet.
You can't use it on like constructs like an android or a robot. I think that does come later.
Like a 5e.
Oh, wow.
You didn't say the magic word.
But other than that, like I'm gonna have to see if I can find a situational thing for it, but it doesn't seem that impressive to me just at first glance. The other thing that I got was, level 3, everyone gets a new feat. I took toughness because I've been getting beat around a lot, and
it's a good choice.
I need to not die.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it for me.
I can't blame anybody for taking the toughness
right.
feat.
Yeah, Pawns, what you got?
Okay, so, I mean, this is literally my second time ever leveling up in this system, so a lot of this is still new to me, but it's kind of been fun because I've just learned what this class is like more and more as I've been playing it.
And Mystic's not a straightforward class in terms of leveling up. Like, you got a lot of choices.
Yeah, and that's been a little bit confusing, but it's nice because I feel like the build is kind of coming together a little bit here. So yeah, at level 3, you get obviously like the standard health. You get some increased saves, so some like bonuses to your saves. I'll get an extra level 0 spell.
Nice.
And
Love
I took
those cantrips. Fun stuff.
Yeah, they're actually
I like
pretty
things
useful
you
in
can do
this.
shenanigans with.
Yes.
If I'm being
What'd you
honest.
take?
Yeah, I took stabilize just to keep our
Yeah.
little furry
That's a good
friend
choice.
We've
a
got
little bit more
trend
alive,
here
hopefully.
of not dying.
Yeah.
Let's keep it that
You gotta
way.
keep it up.
Yeah, and then I took command for kind of the utility and also just kind of the
Nice.
mystic kind of flavor, the telepathic kind of nature of it.
Nice.
So that one I'm also more familiar with, so I can get kind of creative in the use of it is my hope. And then let's see, I also got a feature here, and I believe that one allows me to assist someone in a skill check from 60 feet away.
Oh,
so
cool.
I can, yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I can like
That's
impart
part
knowledge
of your
on them.
mystic connection.
Yeah, that's my level
Nice.
3 ability there. Let me
Very
find
If
the
you ever
channel.
get locked in prison and someone's trying to break you out from 60 feet away, you'd be like, I'm gonna help you with that door.
No, basically, that's kind of what it does. It's pretty great. I'm excited to use that. See what I can.
Just totally
about
for
it.
instance. That's a random scenario, right, Adam?
Sorry, I had something.
Our audio listeners cannot see my disapproval face.
They can feel it though.
They
What about
should.
your feet?
You know, I didn't even know that was something I gained after looking over
that's-
everything. So
That's every class at odd numbered levels gets a new
Yeah.
feat.
Yup.
to be decided, I suppose. Then I'll have to.
Oh, surprise
into that.
feat.
Yeah.
There's only about 1,000 of them, so it'll be super
God.
easy.
Yeah. So far, I have lightning reflexes, but maybe get something a little bit more interesting this next time.
Well,
see.
I'm looking forward to see what you pull out. 5E.
Yeah.
What we got today?
So operatives get a nice little boost every other level. Today I learned. I also forgot to pick a feat, which I should know. I've played enough Pathfinder to know it ought to be odd numbered levels, but I, just like Pathfinder, Starfinder does not put that in the class progression chart.
Yeah.
So I'll have to pick that later. So Operative's Edge is the big one that all of your skill rolls just go up by
Oh,
one.
man.
Just
Yes.
because screw
Really?
that guy asking
Just
you to
straight
roll
magic.
dice and hit numbers.
It's like a bard. That's
Here.
amazing.
Let's make that easy. Easier at any rate. So that's nice. Get a nice little skill boost out of that. My trick attack bonus jumps from 1d4 damage to 1d8 damage.
Wow.
And I was looking at how that gets. The next increase is 3d8, and I'm like,
When is
Whoa,
that?
okay.
That's at 5th.
Oh
It goes
my
to
God.
3d8,
Not bad at
and then an extra d8 every 2 levels after that.
Amazing.
So it's like they
That's
start you out with this kind of
insane.
like, you get this weak little kind of pew pew trick attack, and then it gets awesome.
Yeah, and as you get better with your skill checks, those trick attacks are going to be easier to hit, so you're just going to be tricking constantly.
Absolutely.
Jesus.
Weapon specialization, of course, so I'll get some more damage for the pew
Oh, you
pews.
need some more damage, huh?
Yep, and the bashy bashies. Oh, yeah, I can't forget the bashy bashies. And actually, my feat will probably be somewhat related to making me a little bit better at bashy bashy, because it seems like we don't really have anybody else who does that right now.
Yet, yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be part of my build, but Scriff needs to hit level 5 before that comes out.
At the very least, I would like to be in a position where if I have to block things from getting to you guys, I'm not quite as fragile in that process.
Yeah. That'd be good.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
And then there's a fourth thing as well that is slipping my mind that happens to operatives of 4th level. I'm going to cheat and pull up aeonprd.com. It's Archives of Nethys,
Oh,
the
quick
official
movement.
the official Starfinder. Oh, quick movement. Yes, thank you. Because Jeff very helpfully programmed all these into our character sheets for us. Because he's awesome like that. So yeah, 40 foot base movement speed in light armor or no armor. And that's just
This is
awesome.
fantastic.
So great.
Well, I
Okay,
guess
wow.
my characters aren't running away from all that damage either, because they won't get far enough.
I greatly anticipate being able to run toward things and punch them very hard.
I keep imagining 5e always having like a baton, and I don't know why that is.
He
What
has-
do
he
you have
does.
as a weapon?
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
He does have a baton. So he's got like gun holsters built into his arms, where he can just add different ones for normal draw motions, but they're built into his chassis rather than wearing a belt. But then one of those is kind of like you know how sometimes you have like a vacuum cleaner and it's got like a snap in for like
Yeah.
an attachment? It's
Yeah.
like that. So where he can just pull the baton off the snap, or just flip
Cool.
it with his arm to and just bash someone.
All right.
Nice.
That's
Yeah, that's
awesome.
perfect.
I want to hear a Velcro sound every time he takes it off. Just
Yeah. If Jeff wants to get crazy with the sound effects on that, go right ahead. So
I've got my
yeah.
hands full enough.
Yeah, I'm excited. I get to hit a little bit harder. I get to be better at my core competency of Skill Monkey. And just to be an all-around better helpful robot. Always helpful. Never harmful or hindering to the group at all.
Oh,
Through any agency of my own.
Adam.
Adam.
oh, yeah, just put it all on me. I gave so many hints.
Did we mention that Adam is the worst? Because Adam's the worst.
No, but I'm sure it'll come up through this review.
I think it's one of our bullet points for our recap, actually.
Yeah, I've got it down here.
Wow.
Oh man, so so much has happened in the last 12 episodes.
Yeah, 12 episodes, and like Cooper was saying, none of them have just been really slow. There was like one section kind of in the middle I gave you guys a little breather, and that was it.
Yeah,
But,
at the Triple Church.
Yeah, no, so you guys started off on this spaceship heading towards the Broken Rock. Things immediately went wrong as the Captain Isbin Espa, is like, oh, we appear to be under attack. No biggie. Don't worry about it. I'm just gonna shift into the drift here, and we're just gonna try to get out of here. And as that happens, something goes wrong, and everyone gets exposed to essentially the drift itself before passing out and waking up on this desert planet under this blue sun. Several moons can be seen through the smoke from the crashed ship lying nearby. You guys don't even have more than a few seconds to figure out what's going on before goblins start trying to jump you. Like,
Book your vacation now on sunny Io.
I just want to point out, it's very obvious that Adam is originally from California because he says the Broken Rock and not Broken Rock.
oh my goodness, you really had to bring this up.
It's picky. It's a strange
No
regional
one calls it
colloquialism.
Broken Rock. It's the Broken Rock.
Listen, can you think of any other broken rocks? I can't. It is the Broken Rock. Anyways, so you guys had to put down a few goblins that decided you were worth murdering, probably because you had a ship nearby that could probably have been pillaged, that sort of thing. So we got our first little taste of combat in that episode, which was fun. You know, that was Cooper's first combat on his first episode. So, you know, we did a little bit of like practice beforehand, but this was the first for realsies one.
I don't remember that combat going well for me. I remember I tried to head bash a goblin and it did negative damage, and I was so confused by that.
Welcome to my life.
Yeah,
But-
we've had a few.
Yeah,
of
I went
those.
with it.
I've had 5 episodes of negative damage because I was that stupid affliction, the addiction that I was saddled with from episode 1.
Yeah, that's the other reason that combat didn't go well.
Yeah, so Scriff was addicted, under the weather, also trying to punch these goblins, doing 1 to 0 damage. And you know, it's all because of Isbin Espo, right? She was just trying to see if you guys weren't cops or something, trying to, you know, catch her in the act of some illicit behavior. So she's like, here, take these drugs. And Scriff's like, all right, took 2 of them and
Took 2,
injected
yeah.
them. Yeah,
That's
it's like 5e can't do it, so I'll do his too.
That was just a lost in translation kind of thing, I think. Script didn't get the cultural suggestions that were going on there.
So
This
yeah,
nice guy came over and gave me some fat L. What does that mean? I already ate it. Told maybe he plans for 12 hours, buddy.
So you guys have had to deal with that since episode 1. Poor Scriff, like it even affects his shooting game.
Yep.
Like
and
he can't hit anything because he's too shaky from all these drugs and the relapses and that kind of thing. But eventually you got through the goblins. Cooper, you seemed like you were gonna say something.
sorry, I was just gonna say all but one of them, and I found it was interesting that we started off with almost the cliche, at least in my head, of like goblin or space goblins, and I feel like you pulled Adam such a awesome character out of it, Uzi there, that
I love Uzi.
I just love how that whole thing went down. Like from the first episode until this halfway point, he's been one of the people we've been looking after. So
I have a question about Uzi.
Sure.
Was he always like planned to be kind of a main sidekick, or was he in response to the anti-goblin sentiment expressed at the table during those initial sessions?
We got so much feedback about how anti-goblin is not okay. No. No, he was planned to be like helpful to you guys. I wasn't sure how big a role he was going to be depending on what you guys felt about the character.
Yeah.
So like if you hated him, I was going to get you guys to a point where you could have figured it out on your own, and then you could have just like kicked him off or something. But no, since you guys seem to enjoy Uzi, and I certainly have fun playing him, I don't mind him staying around for a while.
We're building up quite the cast of NPCs here.
Yeah. We'll
We've got Uzi, we've got Izben, and technically we could always go back to talk to Victor too at the church.
You could, yeah. If you're willing to go back to Io. It's a little bit tougher now, but again, we'll get to that. Speaking of Io, you guys went on to this crashed ship you had come in, the Stella Delar. You found Uzi on board. You also found a blood trail that led towards the city, and then some tire tracks. And you kind of looked at them, looked at the city, and then off in the distance you can hear like a goblin horde coming. You're like, let's go inside this giant city. That sounds like a good plan. I don't really want to get cooked in a pot. So, you go in the city only to find that it's this giant dome where there's buildings hanging from the roof as well as coming up from the ground, and the whole thing is just covered in plant life. And you guys have to go into this place.
Yeah, we were following who we presumed had Captain Izben at that point, correct? And we had Uzi
we
show
found
us
tire tracks, and we're following the tracks. That was the only kind of hint we had. We did see a strange figure in the flames of the Stella Delar that we later learned who that was. But at the time, that was the only clue that we had going on for us was this mysterious figure and these tire tracks.
Yep,
standing on top
holding an arm.
of the burning ship, holding an arm.
Yep.
Which isn't disconcerting at all.
No, for first episode, that was a awesome ending there. Just watching that thing, and you're just like, okay, that might be the captain, or the captain's arm.
Oh, things are not going to go well. Got it.
Yeah.
And I've definitely tried to keep that as the theme. Then you guys moved into the city a little bit and got to this point where you were in an intersection, and there was buildings that had vines crawling all over them, overturned trucks, all that sort of thing. And then as you're walking down the street, you see these little creatures kind of moving around trash piles and stuff like that. And as you go to try to deal with these creatures, a shot comes from a building nearby, and one of them just explodes. I think it was all over Scriff, if I'm not mistaken.
We later found out that was the Gurgatol, right?
Yeah, that was the Gurgatol. That was like a scouting party, because, you also found that the city shook when your craft hit it. And so it alerted a lot of people to what was going on. Yeah. So here comes this scouting party. And as they start taking shots, they're like, we got to save that one. And they point at 5E. That's the important one. The rest, I guess, but...
And at that point, were those creatures, they were kind of north of the intersection that we were in. Were those a plant-based type of predator?
Yeah, so there's these type of predators on all different worlds, all different systems, and then that's their overall category. This was a subcategory, these little almost mousy looking things that were somehow both mammal looking but also plant life kind of intermingled.
Yeah, and that was really our first kind of cue to that radiation plant abomination we eventually ran into there.
Couple of times, yeah,
you guys ran into a few things along those lines. So you dealt with Gurgatol, and then you slept inside a overturned truck before you actually got some rest there for the first time after 2 fights. And then you got your level up there. That was pretty good. Very generous. Gave you guys that level.
So generous. Benevolent GM.
You found out that Uzi loves Crystal Crunchies.
Yet he never ate it. He never ate it.
He was saving it for the right occasion, and guess
You
he'll
took-
no.
I didn't
You
take
took
it.
that candy.
I
You
didn't
you
take
coerced
it.
him into
I
giving up that
didn't-
candy.
I didn't take it. I told him to give it to me.
Uh-huh.
It was not
Yeah,
by force.
so-
He gave it willingly.
He did.
I didn't
talk
rob
about
the
that,
guy.
too.
I convinced him to give me his money with his gun. It's different.
So you guys got up the next morning, found that the bodies of the Gurgatol that you had just piled in the middle of the street had been like gnawed on all night by those little creatures.
Delicious.
So you're just like, well, we're gonna sneak around and just not deal with that problem pile right there. And you get to this toppled building, go inside, and basically that classic horror trope where you're standing there and something drips on your shoulder happens. You guys look up and there's just this beast with these tentacles looking down at you. And so
That
you're
chase
like, well,
scene was really fun.
that,
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
I liked that scene.
That was super fun.
so stressful, though. Like, really, like the way that you ran the pacing for that. My heart was racing that entire scene.
I'm glad. That's what I was aiming for.
Now, that's the same one where there was the crane that had to be piloted, right?
No.
No,
This
little
is
bit
while we were
afterwards.
still above the surface. We were trying to make our way to the as Uzi called it, the Triple Church, which turned out to be the Church of Triune. Right before we made it there, we got chased by this thing, and
That's right. Yeah, that was through the
had
sewer
to run
tunnels.
through like this maze of buildings and hallways and stuff,
Yeah.
and made it out, and like right outside we ran towards the church, and then the doors swung open and like
that's right.
John Woo style, like doves come flying out with this priest who pulls out guns and just comes in to save the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, at first you guys are like, no, don't shoot at me. No, not at me. And then it became obvious he wasn't trying to murder you guys.
It speaks volumes about the direction of this story that I have to ask which deadly plant monster we're referring to.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's not going to be the last that we see of them.
Oh, I couldn't leave something that good behind.
No,
Mhm.
of course not. And Adam has a proclivity for plant monsters anyway. I know this. But
What? I like
Yeah.
living things and nature? No.
but the Victor gave us some good information once we made it to the church. That priest of
Yeah,
Triune.
the first person who would actually talk to you and tell you anything. Everyone else was either trying to shoot you or eat you.
That was
So,
a nice
yeah.
change.
Yeah.
You guys got a few days to actually sit down, and Scriff got to do some saves on his addiction. So that was important. And then, yeah, conversation that 5e had with Victor. That was a pretty good one. You guys found out that, according to him, the entire rest of the universe just disappeared. And as far as they know, they're the only ones left. They have their sun, some moons, and the planet they're on. And they just assume that, they called it the sin. And
The great
Unforgivable
sin.
sin.
Unforgivable,
the
yeah.
unforgivable sin. And Victor said that, the warring factions may have had something to do with trying to take the diamond of the system.
It was the Diamond Eye of Triune, according
That's
to
the
my
one.
notes.
Thank you very
It
much.
was a planet made entirely out of diamond.
Ah,
Yeah, and so you can imagine that 82 or so years ago, when Pact World Systems and Vesperium are in their big war, having that kind of resources would be a big boon. So he believes that Triune punished everyone for this. You guys were definitely very skeptical about that. With good reason. He could have just been insane, because you guys know fully well there's an entire galaxy out there. You've been
Yeah.
to some of it,
We think.
But if so, he was the nicest crazy person we've met yet. So
Yeah, he
I
was
remember
friendly at
Pons
least.
thinking he was just crazy.
Except that he told us to go in the sewers.
Yeah.
crazy
That
people
was
do
pretty
that,
crazy.
in my experience.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, no, I kind of know where the Gurgatol base is. Go through these sewers. You'll avoid all of the plant life, probably.
Probably.
Not at all.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
but-
on a percentage basis, we did. If you think about it.
Yeah, you didn't have to
Statistically
deal with
speaking.
everything on the
Numerically
top.
speaking, we only encountered like 2 plants.
Yeah, more or less. So yeah, you guys got that information. You're like, well, we'll kind of decide whether or not we believe it based on what else we find out about. He also gave 5e a little bracelet that had a little emblem of Triune on it and said, you know, you're in a quest to find out who and what you are. Maybe this will help you like it helped me. And that did come up a little bit later in one of my favorite moments, but
Yeah,
we'll come to
and
that.
that was when Pons had some sort of dream or
Yes.
experience with Nerian, his clone. Well, who he was
Yeah.
cloned
I
from.
thought that was such a cool reveal about
And
your
that was-
character.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
had
was,
no idea that Pawns
Mm-hmm.
was like a clone prior to that. Scriff still doesn't know, but oh my gosh. I'm looking forward to that conversation.
I enjoyed how dreamlike you actually made that feel in some sense, Adam, because it was very ambiguous of what state of knowledge was Pons in during this dream. Was I in my current circumstance? Was I back in the past? Was I having just this like literal dream and I could do whatever I want? Like it was very interesting to try to navigate that on a role play basis. But it seems like his life is possibly coming to an end is what it felt like, and the connection is starting to disappear perhaps for
Could
me
be.
and him. It's
Yeah, like
some of
when
the gist
you
I got.
spoke to him, it seemed like they had Alzheimer's or something similar. You know, they were talking to you and then suddenly they get sidetracked and be on a completely different in a completely different time zone themselves, you know? Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're back and doing your studies again, eh, Pons?
Yes. Yeah. That was really fun though. I think that was a great interaction.
I think you
there.
did a good job reacting when, you know, I was doing this narration and then I pulled the rug out from under you and suddenly said, "Oh, there you are, Pond. How are you?
Yeah.
Why are you so different?"
Yes, because you haven't done that before, Adam, of just trying to throw a person into a roleplay scenario that they weren't prepared for. It's like, no, it was great. Enjoyed it.
I'm glad. But yeah, you had that. Then you guys went into the sewers. As you headed that way, you had to deal with a plant that was sitting on top of the entrance to the sewers. And had to figure out, how do we get past this thing? Because it seems like it responds to sound or movement or something. And
Should've
then you
just
guys
found another sewer
experimented
grate.
a
Just gone down that way a little bit.
bit, right? Might have
That'll be
saved you
another
some
one.
trouble.
Took a wrong
But-
turn.
You guys actually got really clever with it in figuring out, okay, if we throw a rock over here, it seems like it snaps at it. Then eventually using Cat's, sound equipment to play vibrations under the water to confuse this thing, so you guys could manage to slip past it as it's trying to attack anything it thinks might be edible. So that was pretty clever. I like
We
that
had
a
to
lot.
jerry rig a suit for Uzi.
Yeah.
Whatever we
he's
had
got
there.
Suit
tape
up with
up
some
his
duct
helmet.
tape.
Perfect.
The nicest helmet he's ever seen. But you managed to get through without any problems whatsoever,
Except
for 5e.
5e.
hitting the bottom of this concrete pool and not coming up when everyone else did.
It's fine.
So,
Was
you
that
know,
the
you guys
beginning
had
of
to
his
drag him out.
problems? Yeah.
That was when we first learned that there might
Yes.
be a problem. Adam apparently was hinting that we were supposed to do something, and we did not catch on.
Not
Yeah,
even
so
little.
there's a little teeny hidden hint in the first episode. 5e also has
I remember
like
that
a
one.
spasm. 5e has a spasm in the trailer you guys were sleeping in, but no one really was able to pick up on what was going on with that. So this was, the first time you guys really found anything wrong. You guys put him down on the concrete and waited for him to boot back up, like, what's going on with this thing? And, he started shaking, and then the readout across his screen got to a point where Scriff saw that it's like, oh, the antivirus has been removed. Oh well. And then it just eventually started up, and everything was fine.
I mean, to be fair, normally when a computer bitches at you about not having antivirus software installed, it's like
Remind me
yes, that's
in 4
by
hours.
design.
Yeah. Windows
Fair
Defender.
This is in the future. Antivirus is worth having then. To be fair, you guys had a lot of other things on your mind, because the second 5e starts booting up, Scriff hears on the radiation badge that you guys had found on the Stella Delar that is ticking, and radiation is down in the sewers. You guys caught on eventually.
Yeah, after it was too late.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
My favorite time for it to be when people catch on. But you guys went through the sewers a bit. You found that, down this tunnel, one side there were these roots, and as you moved closer to those, the radiation intensified. So it's like, nah, we're gonna back off that. You went the other direction and found all of these tendrils hanging from the roof over this chasm with these wicked claws on the bottom of them, and every time they got too close, there would be this electric discharge that would go across. Another thing you guys kind of had to figure out, like, what's the problem? How do we find a solution for this? And yeah, you were fairly quick on it, though. You guys had some good ideas right off the bat, like, okay, it seems like if they get too close to something, they discharge. What if we shoot it? What happens? It seemed like it, boom, sent off the electricity. So, okay, if we can make this electricity go off, we could potentially grab onto these things and kind of Tarzan our way through. You guys got all the way across, jumped onto this creaky bridge, and managed to just barely get across as it falls out from behind you, which I thought was a really fun scene. Just like, some of my favorite things to make are the visually interesting ones that when you think about it, it's just like, what? So that was the one that I had fun kind of crafting.
Yeah, no, I like your puzzles being slightly ambiguous also, where it's like, here's what you see, and we're sitting there thinking, is this even possible to cross in a normal means? And then you have to actually experiment with it. It's not like I can have a crazy high perception check and just understand how to get across it right away or any of that. We had to problem solve as a group, so that was definitely a cool little puzzle there.
Yeah,
not much room for trial of error, though.
No.
I mean, I felt like it was pretty safe, generally speaking.
I mean, Uzi did just jump
OSHA
across.
compliant.
Yeah, Uzi was like, I wonder what happens if I pull on this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was fun to watch you guys. That's one of my favorite things about GMing is watching people's gears turn and the pieces that they start putting together and the solutions they come up with. Even if it's slightly different than the one I'm, anticipated people having, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. So that was one of those things where it's like, yeah, there's maybe 2 solutions that I have in mind, and then you guys get to work on your own kind of meld of them. It was fun.
What did we find on the other side there? Was there something important? I don't remember exactly.
Corn slugs. We were corn slugs.
There was also a locker that had some ring that it seemed like it was going to be used to propose to someone.
That's right.
And
I was wondering if that was going to get brought up
free
again.
Money.
No,
And they just put it in your
free
pocket.
money. It's free real estate.
If you guys can
add a
find
story
the 2
to
of
it,
them,
Adam?
then
If they
Oh,
didn't
no,
want
I'm
it,
gonna-
if he didn't
I'm gonna
want
add
that ring
stories
to be
to
stolen,
everything.
he shouldn't have left it there.
In the sewers.
in the sewers.
Yeah,
I
where
wanted-
adventurers are known to plunder things.
I wanted someone later in that, and we'll get to it, but I wanted someone later in that city to be like, oh no, where'd my ring go? And it's just like he's like on one knee proposing,
Well,
and we'd have been like,
they'll
oh,
just
To be fair,
Turn our heads,
I
look
didn't have a
away.
whole lot of chance to do that.
that's true. Yeah, that was some shenanigans we pulled at that city that I
Yes,
didn't
you
think
guys
one is
did.
expected.
The city
so-
was basically abandoned except for the Gurgatol, so the
Yeah.
odds of us finding who it belonged to are nil.
Yeah,
really.
like with the, you also found a like worker outfit, so you could assume that it was some sewage maintenance person that had this there.
Yeah, I think just after finding that ring though, and the kind of journey down the tunnel, after that, there's a couple of my favorite moments in the entire campaign that we've had so far, both with Scriff's flashback and some comments from Richard.
Oh, my flashback, yeah.
Yeah. But we don't want to skip over the corn slugs, as they are
that
so
right after that?
affectionately called. So you guys found those items. You went through a door that said maintenance, something along those lines. And then inside this room, you found a computer and then this overlook into a big circular room. As you guys start looking around, you hear something moving and these things drop from the ceiling. Like you
This
might
is
see in
fine.
an airplane when like the emergency things come down.
Oxygen masks
except
start
it's
coming
trying
down.
to eat your face instead of give you oxygen.
Yeah. Less helpful.
Yeah, these slimy things with teeth, big sharp pointed teeth, came down. And they were like spraying this electric ooze stuff on you. You guys did some you guys did some fun things, at least fun for me, where Scriff was under 5e's legs with his little scurry ability.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I have this area of effect attack. Perfect.
I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
do
So-
something about that.
Yeah, you
I
guys
took Scurry thinking it would be useful to, not get hit when I'm low on health, but there seem to be some problems with my strategy.
Yeah, it seems safer to hide behind someone than under them. But you guys managed to do some serious damage to these things, and as far as you could tell, they seem to be one creature with multiple tendrils, so every time you hit it, it seemed like it
Yeah,
was weakening the whole.
And I
until
love
eventually-
I love boss fights like that in RPGs. Like I always think back to Final Fantasy IV when you have to go through the water tunnel and fight Octomom.
Oh yeah.
Or Octomammoth, I think is what it was
yeah,
in
I know
the
what you're talking
original. And it's got like all the legs, and until you get it down to 2 legs, you can't really harm the central body. So I love encounter setups like that. I don't care how trope they are; they're fun to me.
Oh, they are.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, whack-a-mole basically, until you finally get to the boss, which I left you guys on a bit of a cliffhanger after that fight, as there was this giant roar and the glass shatters, only to find that an I-beam had been thrown through the glass into the roof. The glass had exploded out, everyone had to dodge. Uzi, who had taken a few shots during the previous combat, got peppered with this stuff and just
Oh my gosh, yeah.
falls over. And so you guys are not only having to manage this dying space goblin, but also figure out what's going on. Which, as you look down into the hole, you see this giant gaping maw with vines crawling all over this equipment, as well as a crane, which is not a bird, it was a box hanging from the
That
ceiling
was not made
with
clear
arms.
to me.
I wanted to ask because I don't think I've re-listened to that entire episode yet. Did any of that make it through the editing process? Like all
Yes.
the confusion?
Yeah, quite a
Okay.
bit. Because not only was it
Oh,
funny,
that's right.
but
The
as
crane.
Jeff pointed out later, it actually is good for clarification. Because,
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, there's probably other people who thought, like, they heard the word crane and they didn't assume
Mechanical bird.
something
That's what
that
we were
Robot
thinking.
crane.
picks up.
Somewhat.
This is a sci-fi game. It could easily be a Gundam bird that we can get in and operate.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But, Uzi's on the ground, so 5e goes over, starts doing his medic thing. Scriff runs to the computer, and then Pons looks around. I'm going for the crane. And just flies out over the opening to go to this thing. And then, through almost a comedy of errors, figures
such
out the
bad
piloting
rolls.
systems, and until you guys start figuring, okay, we can start damaging him, if we can hit him, we can start damaging the machinery around him. There's
Water
this
pumps, yeah.
giant door underneath to purge the system. What can we do with that? So you guys opened the door, destroyed some of the machinery that this thing was hanging onto, started dropping it into this hole. And then Scriff, in one of my favorite moments, decides I can help more by being on that crane than at the computer.
You might have been right.
No,
I was not doing well.
We were trying. We had at that point decided that we need to drop the crane onto the plant monster to get it to fall in the hole.
Yes.
And it was me or 5e that needed to jump across because Pawns didn't have engineering.
Yeah.
So I jumped. I was the next one on initiative.
And I believe it was on that turn that my cabin for the crane I was operating got squished tight enough to almost kill me. And I had to so I had to pop myself out of there.
Oh, it was such a good scenario because you're stuck in this machine, and Scriff, without really even having any conversation with anyone else, looks over and says, "I know it needs to be done," and just starts booking it and leaps off over this abyss with this giant monster swinging tentacles around down below. Another one of those images that I could see so vividly because
by all accounts I should have died.
And almost did.
Oh gosh, I was
ready to write my next character.
It was knife's edge. It was literally within 1 point when an attack came up at you because you were just dangling off an arm of this crane.
I remember.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. And I played it as fair as I possibly could because you want to reward players for doing these amazing moments, but you don't want to reward them too much because then they think they can get away with things.
That was definitely on the edge of shenanigans and too crazy versus okay, this could be really epic if the dice rolls go well enough or very catastrophic.
And the best part was Jeff was rolling so hot
before
before this moment.
Yeah.
And then the moment I jumped,
he jumps, he's like 9.
Couldn't get above a 9. and 9 is not enough when you're wearing heavy armor and you have armor check penalties.
Nope. Yeah, but it was still amazing. And then you kept trying to climb into the crane, but it wasn't happening. Pawns was dangling his little tootsies out there trying to poke your eyes out or something. I don't know.
He was supposed to grab on.
But eventually managed to take the crane arm with a really good piloting check and put him up on top of the roof.
Yes. Yeah, okay. Now I
where you
remember.
guys did manage to disconnect the crane box. Pawns popped himself out of there. And Scriff hangs onto the cables as he cuts it and just watches the box drop out from under him, smashing this creature into the hole. Oh my gosh. So much fun.
Yeah,
I like
such a great
combats that are non-standard. They're good to have, but I like to have ones that they have other components that you can interact with. Because I like people to think creatively. So you guys, you did, and
Definitely
I was really proud of it.
have tested my creative thinking skills with these challenges.
Yeah, it's also why I like low levels is because you don't get a whole lot of tools to play with, so you have to be really ingenuitive with.
Yeah, you don't
what
like
you
low
have.
levels because you're the one that has all the tools.
No, we ourselves must be the tools.
That's what I was trying to do.
That's
when I
what we
jumped
aspire
across.
to here.
Aspire to be tools. Got it.
Wow.
I mean, but in 5e's case, that's pretty much literal. So that's probably a compliment for him. It's like, you don't want to be a tool?
Oh, well, thank you for acknowledging. It's very nice to feel noticed.
Wow.
Yeah. That was about the time that I had my dream.
Yeah, so you guys healed up as best you could. You didn't want to take a long rest. You're thinking, well, is Benespa probably has been captured by these Gurgatol people. We should probably keep moving. She's already been there a while. So you kept moving, and you got into this corridor that just went on for hours, and it was just so boring. Nothing was happening. And then Scriff trails off a little bit. He sees this door off to the side and just walks in, happy as you might like.
Like
It's
a
just this
daydream.
wooden door. Yeah, like a daydream. Goes into this room with wallpapers that have what looks like eyes that kind of stare at him constantly, and runs into someone from his past who puts a hand on his shoulder and with a southern drawl tells him, you appear to be having trouble getting enough money to fund your projects. I think I can help with that.
I told Adam, because that was basically straight from my backstory, that scene. I told Adam that character was played by Walter Goggins. He was like the secondary antagonist in the second Ant-Man movie, like that businessman that was trying to steal the Pym particles.
Oh, yeah.
And he was also
okay.
that Confederate soldier turned sheriff in Hateful Eight.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch that.
You've seen that.
Yeah, he's got such a distinct way of talking that before that episode happened, I just sat down and watched him do an entire speech. I can't remember what show it was from.
Was
but
it from
like,
Justified? I think
it was from Justified. Yeah, he was
Justified.
doing a speech in a church, and oh my gosh, the way he stops and starts and emphasizes things. I was just sitting down there, just staring at it,
learning.
trying to absorb as much as I can to make this character come to life.
You did
And,
good. You did good.
thank
I
you.
liked
That
it.
whole
I
scene
enjoyed
was
that scene.
so much fun to visualize.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
the
and that
big
can't possibly come back to haunt me.
no the punchline, big cheese. It was like one of my favorite moments.
Oh well, that was like episode 1 or 2.
Well, what was
where
no.
I'm the flashback where I was wrestling with
Was
my
it?
siblings.
No,
Yeah.
was it? Okay,
Yeah,
because
that
I
was
do
the
remember
episode
the
one.
cheddar chokehold.
As you guys are on the ship,
you're
and
right.
things go
Wow.
wrong.
Yeah.
There was a bit of
Uh-huh.
a flashback for Scriff where
I love that,
you know,
though.
he
That's so
saw
funny.
some of his families, and it shows him in this handmade armor. And you know, he's trying to wrestle everybody, including his sister, who's like, "No, get away from me!" You know, and
Weirdo.
and then you know, it reveals that his superhero name with this armor was the Big Cheese, and his signature
His wrestling
move,
name.
his wrestling name, and his signature move was the cheddar chokehold.
Yes.
It's so bad,
That's
but
so
I
good.
couldn't help
That's
myself.
still one of my favorite moments from
I
this
could
whole
not
game.
help
Oh,
myself.
it's great. But yeah, this one was this big hulking dude with these horns on his head, who, you know, basically made a deal with Scriff, saying, you know, I can help you out, but you kind of already know how big of a hole you're in. So
Loan
if you try to skip out on this, I'm not just gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill your entire family. Like basically everyone you've ever met. So, you know, he has this flashback to this time where, you know, he was real desperate and had no other choices. And then just kind of walks back out of the room, back in line with everybody else, and they're like, Scriff, hey buddy, you okay?
A little weird.
Oh, but yeah, after that, you guys got out of the sewers and took a bit of a look down and found the Gurgatol Headquarters was this big wall surrounding a tower rising all the way up into the darkness. You know, Uzi had been healed up, but he wasn't quite ready to get back into the field. So he's like, I'll stay here. So you guys built him a radio out of some spare parts so he could listen in on what you were doing. And what a show he got.
Yeah, I don't
plan
think we had a
that went
plan.
off
did
without
we?
a hitch because there was no plan.
No. There's no plan if you don't follow it.
There was no hitch, no cart, no horse.
So, after scouting the place out, you guys go in on a super secret mission to figure out what's going on here. Start scouting around the outside. Scriff even sneaks in through like a little crack in the wall. And then was the amazing moment of him rolling a 1 on his stealth while the guy he's trying to hide from rolls a 1 on his perception.
Yes. Oh, because there's 4 people like in turrets, like machine guns
there were
on
these
top of these
turrets
walls. We were trying to
on the
avoid.
wall.
Totally botched the stealth roll, but
Mutually
then it didn't
assured
matter.
failure.
Yeah, no, I am consistent at nothing else but rolling really poorly. And so,
For which we thank you for your
Yes.
sacrifice.
5e snuck around the wall, stole a car right out from under these 2 guys. And as Script climbs up this tower and jumps onto the back of this dude, Yoda style, you guys floor the car in and just slightly push the dude forward so he just drops face first into the car.
Not to mention, like, the whole plan was, drive the car into something like a
create a
security
distraction.
barricade and make a distraction. It was like, no, never mind. We're just going to jump in the car with you. It's like,
Yeah, it just turned into a kidnapping.
Yeah.
It
Well, that's
did. You
not the
guys
plan.
literally just went
what
in,
what
alerted
happened.
everybody, kidnapped one of their guys, and then left. You guys did get to drive the car into the wall, though. You just jammed a rifle onto the gas and said, go for it, and smashed into the wall. That was cool.
Right.
But then you guys took this captured guy up to your secret hideout and started interrogating him. Found out that he was actually just a regular Joe, more or less. He was on guard duty. He has a son, and Scriff kind of felt for him. You guys also, upon arrival, Uzi's holding the radio with a giant smile on his face, like, this is the best thing I have ever heard. This is better than anything I've ever watched. And then also mentions, have you guys considered goblin gliders?
Perfect plan. The perfect plan. Like, can't go through the wall. Let's go over it. I was thinking trebuchets, but
Yeah, like the idea was clearly piggybacked and inspired by that plan. It's like, okay, I know how to fly over some stuff.
I mean, and goblins are known for their aeronautical prowess.
They are. They are. Those designs were very solid. So you guys managed to get the parts together, and you kind of misled your prisoner, saying like, "Oh, what are the sewers like around here?" Sent him back with this information that you might try to go underground to get to him. You had a nice moment where Scriff just beat up Uzi, took his crystal and crunchies, and then gave it to the guy for his kid.
that is not what happened. That is not what happened.
I remember it pretty clearly, actually.
Come on.
Yeah, it was much more heartfelt than that, and Uzi, having family issues of his own, gave you the thing without too much struggle. And then you guys climbed a building for like 200 stories after evading some scouts looking for you. Before
Was it
proceeding
really
to-
that long?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we had to
That's
find...
why we had to make a fort save.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, the stairs.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
you
what
It was
guys had to climb
basically
the
like
stairs, carry
it was
the
like
stuff.
a forced march.
Yup.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it
you
was a while.
guys went up these giant staircase, found a building that didn't have a roof on it, so you had a platform you could take off of, and then charged off with these 3 gliders, Pawns holding onto one of them, flying out over the opening. And it was, again, one of those visual moments that I love so much. You guys are looking down at the campment far below and trying to land on this platform that's suspended in the air. And all of you make it, except for Uzi, whose glider starts to fall apart and he careens down into a
Should
window.
have put more bones on it. He asked for more bones.
Listen, you strayed from his design and he paid the price.
Oh.
But yeah, then Pawns goes down, can't find him anywhere. Like, we got to keep moving. Scriff on the radio says, we're going to do this. He keeps updating Uzi every chance he gets. We're going here. We're looking at this elevator. And as you start looking around, you find a few things like a worked on vehicle. You found a few parts, grav boots that stick onto metal.
Oh, yeah. We
I
need
forgot
to use
about
those. We haven't used them yet.
Yeah,
Well,
they were
they
too
have
big.
to be resized, but
Yeah.
you better believe I'm
That's
going
right.
to use those. That's so cool.
And the most important thing you guys found in that backpack was the holographic pinup of a vest.
That was just like one of the best awkward, unplanned moments.
Right.
Of,
Jeff just like, yeah. And then 5e is like, can we please leave? Please.
Talk
Very
about
uncomfortable.
episode names that didn't get picked. Rejected episode names. I pitched for that episode. I pitched, draw me like one of your Vesk girls.
And it was a good one. It was a good one.
we should at some point like post like some of the rejected episode titles.
That'd be a good thing to do. Throw that on Twitter.
Yeah, you've had some good creative ones.
Yeah. We kind of we do
Also-
a group effort, throw them in there, vote for the best one usually, and
got-
there's some good ones.
I want to tell a story about one of those at some point, but I don't want to derail the recap.
Okay.
No,
Hopefully
go
we're
ahead.
gonna have some time because I want to hear some theories and stuff that you guys have. So we're gonna keep moving here.
Yeah.
So you looked around, found a few cool items, and then proceed to the elevators where Scriff starts trying to open up the panels, get things working, and then you hear an elevator start coming to you, and it stops on your floor. And as it opens, you see this monstrosity standing in there, this giant Vesk, overgrown, like 10 feet tall, with this welded armor and all this crazy stuff, and a giant hammer.
You heard he was
You
really
know,
old from our
also-
prisoner.
Also, just maybe carrying your captain in one arm, just kind of like hooks him on his weight set that's in there, and then turns to face you guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have questions about that fight.
It wasn't a fight. We just got demolished
that was a
for
massacre.
like 4 or 5
That
rounds.
there was an ass kicking.
What CR was that guy?
I don't think I can tell you that, but I will say probably out of your price range.
Yeah, I'm feeling
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
how I
know.
felt.
5 to 6,
Yeah, because
maybe higher.
you know he talked and
Oh, yeah.
monologued for a little bit, saying like, "I've been waiting for you guys to show up. I assumed you would. You were looking for your captain." And then, you guys almost parlayed, but it seemed like he didn't want you to be like, "Okay, here's the information. You're gonna let us go with our ship, yeah?" It was more like, "No, you're gonna give me the information and the ship, and I'm gonna put you in my crew, and basically I own you now." And especially for 5e, he's like, "You're gonna let me look inside that thing to figure out what's going on," which led to probably my favorite moment in the back half of this, and definitely in this fight, where, I did a monologue after punching Scriff for 20-something damage
Stupid.
on a crit, and then 5e comes in and returns the favor, and then monologues right back at me, like looking at the charm that he got from Victor, saying, "If I am really sentient, then this body is my temple, and you're not allowed in," and just like smashed him over the back of the head. It was
like the
so
best-
good.
Most
good.
effective crit ever. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that item actually has any mechanical significance whatsoever, but it felt like the perfect moment to kind of like reclaim his autonomy over himself. No, you're not. I'm not
so
just a
good.
machine for you to commandeer however you want. These are my friends, and this is our mission, and I don't really care about yours.
That's a good question. I don't know. I'd have to look back at the lore books for Starfinder, but I can't remember when the Pact Worlds actually recognized SROs and androids as being living beings with rights.
Yeah, yeah.
no
For
idea.
a
It could have
long
been
time,
before
they're just
the
robots.
point. It could have been before the point that or after the point that the unforgivable sin happened and this area got cut off from the drift. So, something to think about.
Yeah, some interesting coincidence there. Possibility.
Yeah, so you guys fight with this thing for a little while. He steps on a couple of you. And then, as things look like maybe they're starting to turn in your favor a little bit, this explosion rings out, and you guys get deafened, aside from 5e, who hears Isbin Espa trying to struggle and escape, turns to see what looks like another SRO unit, and chases after that thing.
Yes, because only OMG's twinsies.
Everyone else is looking around. What's going on? The Vesk says, I'm going to go deal with this. Don't get caught. I'll find you later, and just jumps off the platform to go deal with the situation.
Basically, you're not worth my time to smash you in the 2 rounds that it would take. I'm just going to leave you here. That guy will take care of you. Also, Richard, Adam, you guys totally missed an opportunity to have like a Freaky Friday situation where you switch places with your other SRO.
Shut up. Don't give him that idea.
Don't worry, Richard. I already have it. Yeah, no, I played with a few ways and how this situation could have unfolded, and I think this one was a lot of fun, so I don't regret doing it. But, 5e jumps into the elevator, and immediately this other SRO unit says, okay, start connecting with me. I want all the information you have. And because he didn't have his antivirus and there were no checks done to see what was going on with 5e, you could not resist it. You started giving him all your information, and he even gave you something back, a nice little present. He gave you some sort of worm. He gave you worms.
You enjoyed that turn of phrase way too much, I think.
We're going to have to get some dewormer for 5e.
Yeah, no, it's especially bad because he does have
This is why you don't drink the water in a foreign country.
But, this robot also said, I'm now essentially taking command. Here's what you need to do. Go upload this to anything that has the capability to broadcast it to anywhere else. Planetary, universal, just planar, whatever you can do. And then said, okay, come with me. We're going to get on this ship and we're going to take off as Scriff and Pawns raise up in the elevator trying to chase them. And
I'm just like, can do.
And the heartbreaking roll to try to resist getting on the ship, where you guys blew a popsicle just to try to get through this check and miss it by 1. Hey, I wasn't the one who rolled.
That's true.
I may have set the DC, but I wasn't the one who rolled. Yeah, missed it by 1. Oh, it was so painful. Then 5e jumps on the ship. Scriff and Pawns get to the roof, and these shots from that ship start shooting other ships before it blasts off, leaving pretty much only one option for them to jump onto to chase after him. Then you guys got out of Io, finally, over the ocean, and started having this dogfight where it was very clear that the speed of the ship that Pawns and Scriff were in just outclassed this other ship.
Even robot ship was crap-tastic.
Yeah, made a poor choice on which one
we had
that robot was gonna take.
We had some pretty sweet stuff on that ship. We still do, because that's our ship now.
Yeah. Yeah, and with it, you managed to down the other ship into the water and had to go on like a rescue mission. Get into the ship by blasting a hole with this digging laser that you guys have.
That was fun.
5e, trying to recover from what just happened, gets this text message across his visor that says, kill all living things on board, they're the enemies. Starts looking around, only to find that Uzi had snuck on board.
Uzi.
And there was a whole situation where 5e is trying to resist this command to just blow Uzi away, who's already like crippled and can't move, is just sitting there. The other SRO unit blows by him and escapes by turning invisible and jumping into the ocean. Pawns sees it happening, then feels a disturbance in the force from 5e. as he's raising his pistol up to gun down Uzi and failing a save against pawns, his like ability to stun, was the best thing that could have happened.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm
You were
really,
at,
really
like, one
glad.
health, right?
Yeah, he was
And
at
he
one
felt
health
fat.
from the ship
Yep.
flipping over.
I was at literally 1 hit point. I just saw that again when I pulled up my character to update it today.
And you failed my save by 1 as well.
Good.
Yup. The slimmest of margins, you guys didn't kill Uzi. You managed to get him out, get Isbin Espa, get everybody back onto the ship, and then start talking to Isbin Espa, who kind of unloads her story as she's looking super stink-eye over at 5e.
Hold on. Adam, you can't say that we almost killed Uzi when he was obviously mind controlled. You almost killed Uzi.
Listen, as far as I can tell from a character perspective, I as a GM do not exist. Only the events exist, so I'm beyond
telling yourself
being
that.
blamed.
That was a
Slaughter
scary
them
moment,
all,
though.
can do.
Yeah, 'cause we had 3 potential deaths there, and by just the narrowest of margins, multiple times did we manage to save all of them.
Oh my gosh. I'm legitimately surprised that Uzi didn't die.
Yeah,
Everything we've done
yeah,
has been
I
by
really
the
didn't
skin
want
of
him
our
to.
teeth.
Yeah, no, you did. You saved them by the skin of your teeth, got back onto the ship. Isbin Espa tells the story of what happened when you guys got hit in the ship. She went into the drift, and then suddenly, boom, she's in the atmosphere of this planet, just trying to survive and land the ship in a way that doesn't kill everybody. Manages to do that, but gets thrown through the ship, lands in the back area, and her arm gets pinned. Wakes up to find an SRO unit standing over her, and judging by the way she's looking at 5e, has assumed that it was him. You guys keep trying to calm her down, tell her, no, we found another SRO unit. Looks exactly the same, but, you know, maybe
It wasn't
she's
me.
not
It was my twin brother.
Yes, exactly.
Did that other SRO have like a goatee?
Yes, it should have. And a
a
beret.
flexo goatee.
Like a little soul patch?
Yeah. As well as talking to you guys, asking if you've had any weird dreams, because apparently she has too. She's talking about how she saw this event happen over and over every night about the universe disappearing, and then starts talking about how this place is a prison and how this involves Triune somehow, and that there's a prisoner here that could potentially help you guys, or at least that is what you seem to surmise from it. And that's where we left it off.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's lots of stuff that could be going on here, and like
Yeah.
trying to unpack it all. So I wanted to go over. These are all of my notes. We got like 10 bullet points. I kept it brief of like trying to piece together what happened with this world and what we're getting ourselves into. So real quick.
I feel like if you rotate Jeff's camera 180 degrees, he's got a full-on murder wall full
Yeah.
of string and pictures.
Red string.
A map.
It's all connected.
Yeah,
Hey, Silvio.
it's a mystery face in the
Pepe
center.
Sylvia. No, so this is short. Okay, so this is what we know for sure. We were on our way to Broken Rock when we crashed. The ship on its way coming out of the drift into this planet detected an unidentified drift beacon. It wasn't in the ship's database.
Mhm.
Right as we entered the drift, we got hit with a torpedo of some kind. The system, when we met with Victor, we learned that this solar system, was cut off from the drift 82 years ago, and no one on this planet or maybe on this solar system remembers anything about the drift or drift travel. Is supposedly incapable of doing it, but we don't know to what extent, whether that is just lack of knowledge or whether that is lack of technology or both, or if it is like magically cut off, and even if you had a drift engine, maybe you can't do it. We haven't figured that out yet. Victor said it was caused by the unforgivable sin. He said that the Pact Worlds and the Veskarium were fighting over the Diamond Eye of Triune in order to, quote, ravage it or to harness its power somehow. We know that the Diamond Eye of Triune is a planet that is here in the Metadosa system. And in response to this battle, Triune tore apart space. Victor said, quote, so they would mourn and repent of their sin. Eastman, like you said, Adam, is having strange dreams, and their dream, I saw some inconsistencies between what they were seeing in their dream and what Victor was saying to us. So I have the quote here from Eastman. I watched the stars vanish. I could feel the sorrow crushing me, a complete sorrow, at the things that had done this, cut the system off. They planned to do it to every system in the galaxy, every system in the universe. Triune. This place is a prison, and the prisoner here is the only one that could stand against them. We also learned that 5e has worms. That's in my notes. That was important.
I had to make sure you got it.
Reiterate that.
Yeah. And that's basically it. But so Adam, maybe you can clarify here. So Victor said that Triune cut the system off from the drift, but Eastman said it was the things. Do we know what it was? Was Eastman referring to Triune as the things, or are they referring to something else?
From the way she was talking, it seemed that she might be implying that it was Triune, the things, Triune being 3 AIs.
Okay. And that's what I wasn't sure about. Because the things is really vague, but she did mention Triune. But she's also saying that Triune is planning to do this to every system in the galaxy. So now we're getting into theory crafting here.
Yeah, what do you think is happening, guys, with the information that Jeff just laid out, which was pretty comprehensive?
I just think it's interesting because there was something obviously that shot us down prior to being separated from the drift, but now we're in a place that... So is the thing that shot us down directly related to the circumstances that are going on where we landed, or do you think that those are actually separate events and coincidental? I feel like they must not be coincidental.
Here's what I think happened is someone got their hands on some kind of special torpedo that hit us and screwed up our drift travel.
Huh.
And it changed. I also think that we need to find out. I'm going to get to this later, but we need to find out what's up with that drift beacon that we saw. I want to know if it was built after the, quote, unforgivable sin or before.
Yeah. I got a bad feeling about that too. So it sounds to me like that unidentified drift beacon could theoretically be the Diamond of Triune.
No, the Diamond Eye of Triune is a planet. We know
right,
that.
But they destroyed it, right?
No, not that we know of.
Really?
We just know that they were fighting for control of it, and that was about the time that Triune cut everyone off from the drift in the system.
Okay. Because what I'm wondering is if it was like a source for a drift beacon on the same magnitude or similar mechanism as the Starstone, and the Starstone, I've played a lot more Pathfinder stuff than I have Starfinder. I don't know the lore of this setting as well, but in Pathfinder, the Starstone is basically what, to some extent, creates gods. In fact, one of the deities of the setting wanders into the Starstone blindly drunk and became a deity and doesn't remember how he did it.
Like you do.
Yeah, so if the Starstone, which once had the power to create gods, is now being used to facilitate travel, and there are other bodies like the Diamond Eye of Triune that are linked to deities, then I guess could someone identify those stellar bodies and shut them down one by one in order to cut off all these solar systems from one another? Like that's like my doomsday scenario in the back of my head, is someone's trying to blow up the Starstone, which is just super bad on so many levels. But I may be going just a little too far with that theory.
Yeah, I think that if based on Eastman's dream, like saying that they're planning to do this to other systems and that it was Triune, I'm thinking, like, does Triune have like a virus? And like someone is trying to kill Triune or take their place?
That would make way more sense.
Smiling.
Yeah, because I've always thought that Triune was relatively... I've always thought Triune was relatively benevolent from what I can gather, but that would make sense if it's an AI deity that got its own kind of virus and is becoming corrupted by it.
Or even a part of it. Like, you know, it's 3 AIs in one, right? Like, what if it's partially corrupted or something and cause this whole thing to happen? Because that's a really extreme thing to do, right? To cut someone off, cut an entire system off, undo, like, you're just like trying to put the genie back in the bottle, right? You've given this technology to everyone, and now you're trying to take it back.
Triune created the drift,
yeah.
Right? Okay, and that it is. You're saying it's basically an AI deity.
Yes.
Okay.
It was 3 AIs that gained like sentience, I think, and somehow became a deity. And
okay, so we've just heard about it, but it's not anything. It's like we have current interaction capability. It's just, yeah, it's a deity somewhere, something. But they're saying the prisoner.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know who this prisoner is.
Huh.
But I have like a whole bunch of things that we need to follow up on. Oh my gosh. Like the drift beacon. I want to find it. I want to know if it was built before or after the unforgivable sin, because if it was built after, then it's probably a lure that lured us here. If it was built before, does that mean that this place we're not in a separate timeline, we're in our timeline and our memories got wiped and we forgot about this system entirely? Like everyone in the universe just forgot about this system, it got cut off.
Yeah, like mythic mass modify memory or some shit.
Right. It's happened before with the gap. This would just have been more focused. You don't remember this system at all now, and you don't know how to access it. And so the drift beacon got wiped from our database, but it already existed, but we didn't know about it because it had been wiped from everything outside of the system. Next, finding the prisoner. Who are they? Obviously, they can help us with this situation. We can go and find out more about the Diamond Eye of Triune. I'm thinking maybe Victor knows more about that. He might be able to tell us how to find it. Since it's related to his deity, like, he probably would be very interested in learning more about it. We also just need, like, some smaller stuff. Like, just we need to find a place to rest and recuperate that is safe. And on a more fun note, we have a ship now. We need to name it.
That you do.
Yeah, and I think, was it the ship name or was it some other names that were getting thrown around earlier?
Yeah, so I have my ideas so far. I submitted some to the group, and I'll mention them here. So some of the names that I tossed around were Timely Demise. These are all time puns. I'm sorry. Second Hand. Because
I like that.
Shit. And then A Broken Clock.
Timely Demise strikes me as perhaps a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think we should probably avoid
Second
that.
Hand is my favorite.
Second Hand's not bad.
It's pretty funny.
Also, it goes along with the whole ship being a hunk of junk right now. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Richard's ship was. Oh, currently.
Yeah,
Richard's ship was a bit of a hunk of junk.
no,
Yeah.
we had the hunk of junk. That's what it was called.
Oh, that's right. I'm not gonna name this.
Yeah.
Right.
Or this, yeah.
The ship Richard was on is now like at the bottom of the ocean, which
Yeah.
would have been nice to scavenge it for parts. We're gonna have to find something else here too. But yeah, we also need to find, like I said, a place to recuperate. I'm thinking. So Victor had mentioned that he was on a pilgrimage to the Triple Church with his like the old pastor of whatever that church.
Yeah, the
that
priest
he was,
above
the priest
him,
that he was
yeah.
going to bury, because he had that body bag. He was on a pilgrimage. He came from somewhere, so maybe that would be a safer place to go outside of the city.
Really, just somewhere where everyone's not trying to kill and or
Yes,
capture us
exactly.
would be preferable for just a couple of days.
Yeah.
Just a vacation.
Adam's
I
like,
want-
well, you're
weekend.
gonna have to wait for another 10 episodes.
I want some time to upgrade the ship too, because I've got ideas.
Yeah, that's even more information there, Jeff, than what I had fully considered. So I don't
I've
know.
been trying
I'll
to
have
take
to keep
notes
thinking
as
about
we
it.
go
You've been doing a
along.
good job. I do appreciate that.
Is there anything in there that I got wrong, Adam? That my character would know I was wrong?
No, I think that was pretty succinct, honestly.
All right.
I like some of the thoughts you guys had. The reason I was smiling, Jeff, is because I like to hear what people come up with, kind of like the solutions for puzzles. I
Yeah.
like to watch people think. So it's that was nice.
Definitely not a poker tell.
You can try to read into whatever you'd like.
It's I gather that the answer is not written until we come across it. If I were to
possible.
guess.
I will say that I have some very firm in stone things, and they are kind of the situations that you're theorizing about. I'm not going to tell you much more beyond that, obviously, but
That's fair.
I'm not going to change it on you just so I can feel superior or something.
This idea sounds better. I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah.
I do have one more question for you, Adam, before we wrap things up.
Sure, what you got?
So, the very last episode of the volume, when 5e was like stunned and we were trying to bring him back online, I plugged Cat into 5e.
Another one of those really low rolls, if I recall correctly.
It wasn't great, but so 5e has that directive to upload the worm to whatever computer he jacks into.
Yes, I do.
I have one of my abilities as a mechanic is I immediately become aware of any countermeasures that activate by a failed hack attempt or any hack attempt. So would I have been aware that this worm was trying to worm its way into my system?
I think I'd actually like to do that in the next episode.
Oh, you suck. This has been bugging me
answer.
for 2 weeks, and I've got to wait another 2 weeks
Yeah.
before I can find out.
You may have noticed some changes to your artificial intelligence unit. Those changes will continue.
Uh,
I think you suffer so much more than we do sometimes.
All right.
But I think that about wraps
Yeah.
up our recap of episodes 1 through 12. And the next volume is going to pick up with the next episode.
I'm looking forward to it. This has been a lot of fun. I really enjoy the collaborative balance between all the members of this group. I have watched amateur gaming groups with some pretty big aspirations very quickly devolve into squabbles and infighting and ego, and it's nice to be in a place where I don't feel that. It's,
You're here.
It is. It has
Agreed.
been just really, really cool to work on this project with you guys, to watch them come together, to see the process. It's a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to doing more as long as time permits.
Absolutely.
Let's keep it
Thank you
rolling.
guys so much. The best crew I could have asked for. Thank you so much, guys, and for all those listeners out there who have stuck with us since the beginning and all of those growing pains. Thank you so much. We love you. Hang in there. There's more answers to come.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you
See you
next
next
time.
time.
When life drains you down, charge up on the Emergency Power Network. Theme song Triangles by Diamond Ace. Find them at bandcamp.com. Music provided by Nicholas Judy of Dark Fantasy Studio at darkfantasystudio.com and Tabletop Audio. Find them at tabletopaudio.com. Font Azonix by Mixo. Find them on Twitter at MixoFX. The Starfinder role-playing game, including its official lore and images, are the intellectual property of Paizo Incorporated. All rights reserved. Narrated by Danny Lee Collins.